One day, your whole life can start feeling borrowed, and that feeling can hit you without any warning. You look normal outside, but inside, something is ending. This video is about that moment and what comes next. Because real reinvention is not a haircut or a quote. It is the deep psychology of becoming someone new. This starts when your old life feels painfully too tight. You still look like yourself, but it no longer fits. That feeling is scary because it has no clean name yet. It feels like waking up inside a stranger's routine. Pay attention to this part right now. Boredom is not always laziness or lack of discipline. Sometimes boredom is your mind rejecting a smaller identity. You feel numb because the role is starving you inside. A man keeps joking at work, but feels dead inside. A woman smiles through dinner, then cries alone in her car. Different lives, but the signal is exactly the same. The mask works outside, but it hurts underneath. But here's the truth most people miss. Reinvention rarely starts with a burst of inspiration. It usually starts with disgust, grief, or quiet exhaustion. You do not change because life suddenly feels easy. You change because staying the same starts costing too much. That pain is not failure. It is useful information. Your personality is more trained than fixed in stone. Much of who you are is repeated memory and habit. The brain loves familiar pain over unfamiliar freedom. That is why old patterns keep pulling so hard. This is where it gets interesting now. You are not just changing actions on the surface. You are changing what your nervous system expects each day. At first, that feels unsafe, not exciting or inspiring. You may miss the very habits that were hurting you, because predictable pain can start to feel like home. A person leaves a toxic relationship, then wants it back. Not because it was good, but because it was known. Pay attention to this pattern inside you. Real change feels fake before it ever feels natural. The new version of you will feel awkward at first. Your mouth stumbles first, your body hesitates right after. But every awkward move becomes a new instruction. Repetition turns discomfort into something your brain can trust. To become new, something old inside you must end. And yes, that ending can feel a lot like grief. You are not losing only habits or routines. You are losing a version of yourself you survived with. But here's the truth beneath that pain. Even harmful identities once protected you from something. The people pleaser kept you safe from rejection. The tough one kept you safe from shame. The silent one kept you safe from conflict. So when you drop those roles, fear rises fast. It feels like walking outside without your old armor. A woman stops saying yes to everyone around her. Suddenly, she feels guilty for finally becoming healthy. A man stops acting cold in every conversation. Suddenly, he feels exposed for speaking honestly. This is where it gets interesting again. Healing can feel worse before it ever feels better. That does not mean you are moving backward. Reinvention fails when your environment keeps training the old you. Willpower is weak against daily evidence and repeated triggers. Your room, feed, friends, and schedule teach you who you are. So if they stay the same, you usually stay the same. Pay attention to this part of the process. Identity is built by what surrounds you the most. If chaos fills your day, chaos enters your mind. If shallow voices fill your ears, shallow choices follow. A cluttered desk can keep a cluttered self alive. A bitter friend can keep your old fear breathing. But here's the truth you can use. You do not need a whole new life overnight. You need new signals repeated in small ways every day. A cleaner space, a calmer morning, a stronger circle. One man deletes numbers that always drag him backward. One woman unfollows pages that make her hate herself. Small edits create a new emotional climate, and climate changes what is able to grow. Now comes the part most people skip too fast. You need real proof that you can trust yourself. The mind believes what your body repeats each day, not what your imagination promises you at midnight. This is where it gets interesting again. Confidence is not a tool you start with. Confidence is a receipt from promises you actually kept. Every small action says, "This is who I am now." Read one page. Take one walk. Say one honest no. Tiny moves look weak, but they rebuild self-trust. A man who trains 10 minutes feels more solid. A woman who journals nightly hears her own voice again. Pay attention to this pattern in real life. Big identity shifts often hide inside boring routines. The gym is not just about building muscle. The budget is not just about saving money. The bedtime is not just about getting sleep. Each one teaches your brain, "I can lead myself." Then comes the social backlash almost nobody warns you about. People around you may love the old version more. Not because they hate you or want your pain, because your change disrupts the comfort they know. But here's the truth about that reaction. Some people only feel safe when you stay small. Your growth makes them face their own avoidance. So they call you different, like it is an insult. They say you have changed in that sharp little tone. What they really mean is, you are harder to control. A friend mocks your boundaries across the lunch table. A partner rolls their eyes at your new discipline. This is where it gets interesting again. Loneliness is often the hallway between two selves. Old rooms close before new rooms finally open. That empty space can tempt you to go backward. Stay there anyway, even when it feels painfully quiet. The next version of you needs room to arrive. Reinvention becomes real when your inner story changes. Not the story you tell strangers at parties. The story you whisper to yourself in silence. If that story stays old, your life follows it. Pay attention to this shift inside your mind. You cannot shame yourself into becoming someone powerful. You cannot hate yourself into peace or safety. Real change needs a new inner language. Instead of saying, "I always ruin things in the end," say, "I am learning to do hard things well." Instead of saying, "Nobody stays when I need them," say, "I choose people who can meet me fully." A man stops calling himself broken after one mistake. A woman stops calling herself too much for having needs. But here's the truth about words. The sentences you repeat become emotional instructions. Speak to yourself like someone worth becoming. Your mind listens to your voice more than you think. Reinvention is not one dramatic movie moment. It is 1,000 small deaths and brave choices. Some mornings you will feel powerful and clear. Some mornings you will miss the old cage. That does not cancel the work you have done. It proves the work is real and still unfolding. Pay attention to this final part very closely. The new you is built on ordinary Tuesdays, in quiet kitchens, on hard walks, in honest conversations, in the second you pause and choose differently. A new life is rarely loud at first. It usually sounds like steadier breathing and clearer thoughts. It looks like less drama and more direction. And one day, the new you feels normal. So if your old life feels too small, trust that feeling. You may not be lost. You may be shedding. The version breaking apart might be the mask, not you. If this hit home, stay close for more honest psychology. And if you are rebuilding quietly, you are not alone.